If you find a heavy, cold stone on a freshly cut bank the morning after a storm, one that feels wrong in your hand, denser than it should be for its size, drag a wet palm across it before you put it back. Genuine agate and jasper leave a waxy, crayon-like film on your skin. Host rock feels like sandpaper. That test costs nothing. Jeff Williams walked Royals Wash, Arizona on July 9, 2024, the morning after a 100-year flood had recut the drainage overnight. He picked multiple crystalline gold nuggets directly off a freshly exposed caliche shelf with 2 fingers. No shovel, no $6,000 detector. The largest was a quartz gold specimen worth over $4,000 at spot price, sitting loose on the surface like it had been placed there. That find happened because Williams knew what the flood had done to the geology beneath his feet, and he walked in before anyone else did. 5 natural events do this to the ground. Each one opens a window. Most people are not watching for them. Nobody was watching those 5 windows. I trained in applied mineralogy, part of that in the Antwerp Gem District, where reading a freshly exposed heavy fraction is the morning routine. What I kept seeing across every major placer and alluvial field was the same pattern. Prospectors chase equipment instead of events. Flash floods, freeze-thaw cycles, storm surf, drought low water, post-wildfire erosion. Each one physically excavates ground that has sat undisturbed for decades. The window is short. Here is how to read it. Flash floods strip caliche beds, and that is the event most prospectors miss entirely. A desert wash in Arizona or Nevada sits on top of a layer of calcium carbonate called caliche, nearly impermeable. Gold cannot sink through it. Neither can heavy gems. Over thousands of years, those minerals pile up on the caliche surface while sediment builds above them, burying the shelf deeper and deeper. Then a flood with enough energy to cut a new channel strips that overburden in hours. What you find afterward is a freshly exposed horizontal surface with every dense mineral sitting exactly where gravity and time deposited it. In 2023, a flash flood at the Lone Star Mine in Cochise County, Arizona, stripped 18 inches of flood, deposited dirt off a banded fluorite vein that had been invisible under the surface for decades. Regina Cal walked out with an estimated 300 pounds of gem-grade tricolor material. Purple and green and white banded fluorite. No host rock matrix. No heavy equipment. She walked in after the water dropped and picked it off the ground. On Bureau of Land Management public land in Arizona and Nevada, casual use, collecting with hand tools, requires no permit. 25 pounds per day. Run the wet palm test on anything that looks promising. Then run the specific gravity check. A $40 digital postal scale, a cup of water, a piece of string. Weigh the stone in air, then suspended in the water. Gold runs 19.3 grams per cubic centimeter. Iron pyrite runs 5. If what you are holding comes back more than twice as dense as the same volume of water, you have something worth investigating. That math took Williams about 90 seconds on the bank of Royals Wash. One hazard. Undercut banks collapse without warning after floods. If there is a mine opening nearby, check the mudline watermark on the entrance before you approach. If the line sits above head height, the shaft filled and the structure is unpredictable, not a theoretical warning. Freeze-thaw cycles work differently, and the mechanism is subtle enough that most collectors overlook it entirely. Water expands 9% when it freezes. Inside a crack in host rock that is a wedge, not pressure. Ice lenses form below the freeze line and pull water upward through capillary action, pushing the ground above them toward the surface. Run that through a full mountain winter, and you have a mechanical conveyor belt under the gravel. Heavy minerals ride it up. Gold at 19.3 grams per cubic centimeter. Sapphire at 4. Garnet at 3.5 to 4.3. Lighter quartz stays put. Pat Vance found a 14-pound nephrite jade boulder on a Fraser River tributary near Cowhead Lake, British Columbia, in 2021, 2 weeks after spring thaw. Carving grade nephrite runs $3 to $15 per pound. Gem grade runs $50 to $200. A 14-pound boulder at the low end of gem grade is a meaningful afternoon. On Crown land in British Columbia, hand panning requires no license. A pan and a shovel. Run the specific gravity check on anything promising. Common river cobble runs 2.6 to 2.7. Nephrite runs 2.9 to 3.1. The $40 postal scale makes that call in 2 minutes. If you want more windows like these, exact seasonal timing guides, and the stones most people walk past, subscribe now. The next video covers bedrock crevice tools for exactly the gravel bars we are working. Storm surf is the third event, and the window here is the tightest of all. When a Pacific or Atlantic storm drives sustained wave energy across a beach, the swash zone, the strip of wet sand where waves push up and pull back, becomes a working density separator. Lighter minerals wash seaward. Heavy minerals lag behind and concentrate in thin surface layers you can see with your eyes. Oregon sunstones at 2.6 to 2.7 grams per cubic centimeter. California nephrite jade at 2.9 to 3.1. Washington agates at 2.6, 12 to 48 hours after the storm passes. After that, the beach resorts and the concentrations scatter. Steve Olney walked Agate Beach on the Central Oregon coast in February 2023, 2 days after a storm with sustained winds over 50 miles per hour. He recovered a 4-pound concentration of beach agate from a single swash zone strip, including a 200-gram translucent carnelian nodule that tested at 6.8 on the Mohs scale. On Oregon public beaches, the daily personal limit for agates is 1 gallon. The BLM Sunstone collecting area near Plush in Lake County allows free collecting with no permit. Use an $18 hardness pick set on anything promising. Scratch the specimen against the unglazed porcelain streak tile. White streak means quartz or agate. Red-brown streak means hematite. If it scratches glass at 5.5 but will not scratch a quartz crystal at 7, it is sitting solidly in the agate range. 90 seconds per rock eliminates 80% of false positives. The wave energy that sorted the gravel is still active during your window. Sneaker waves and rolling logs are the specific hazards. Never turn your back on a storm surf beach. The productivity and the danger are the same phenomenon. But the ground was keeping a much darker secret. Before the fourth event, I need to tell you what happened at Lone Star Mine in the season after Regina Cal walked out with those 300 pounds of fluorite. The first flood in 2023 was the gift. The second flood came through the same drainage with enough force to fill the mine shaft to the ceiling, not debris in the tunnel. The shaft itself, packed to the top with water and sediment and displaced rock. Undercut walls. Unstable caliche overhangs. Cal documented the aftermath on camera. She said she was ready to quit. The same mechanism that exposed 300 pounds of gem-grade fluorite had made the ground around that find actively lethal inside the same season. The Arizona monsoon killed 4 people in Globe in September of 2025. The timing advantage is real. So is the danger. Drought low water opens access on a predictable calendar. Between late August and October, western river systems drop to seasonal lows. Gravel bars and bedrock shelves that sit under 2 feet of fast water in May are walkable in September. Russ Voorhees recovered a 4.2 carat cornflower blue Yogo sapphire from a drought-exposed gravel bar in a Judith River tributary at Yogo Gulch, Montana, in 2019. Yogo sapphires command $300 to $800 per carat, rough because they require no heat treatment. Most commercial sapphires are heated to improve color. Yogos come out of the ground with their color locked in. 4.2 carats at the low end is over $1,200, in a gravel bar walkable in September. U.S. Forest Service personal use limit is 25 pounds per day. Hand tools only, no permit. Sapphire runs specific gravity, 4.0 against common river gravel at 2.6 to 2.7. The $40 scale and a cup of water makes that call in under 3 minutes. Post-wildfire erosion is the fifth event, and it has the longest tail. When a wildfire strips a slope, the root system holding the soil burns with it. The first significant rainfall carries topsoil downhill at a rate that would take a decade under normal conditions. What erodes out underneath is raw geology. Quartz veins, pegmatite outcrops, coarse-grained igneous bodies that host large crystals of tourmaline, topaz, and beryl. Alluvial gem-bearing gravels sitting just below the organic layer with nothing exposing them until the fire does. Rockhounds at Yogo Gulch after the 2021 fires found freshly exposed sapphire-bearing gravel with no prior surface access. Post-wildfire national forest land follows the same USFS casual use rules. 25 pounds per day, hand tools only, no permit. Check the Helena Lewis and Clark National Forest website and Judith Ranger District closure maps before you drive out. Orders change without notice. At night on freshly erosion-exposed rock faces, a Convoy S2 Plus UV flashlight with a 365 nanometer LED, $30 to $40, shows mineralized zones invisible in daylight. Fluorite fluoresces blue to purple. Opal shows green to white. Calcite goes orange. That UV technique would have located the Lone Star Mine fluorite vein before the flood did it for free. 300 pounds of gem-grade tricolor fluorite sitting in the dark, waiting for a $35 flashlight. The MineLab GPX 6000 costs $6,000. The Garnet Axiom runs $4,000. Both are extraordinary instruments. Neither one told Jeff Williams to walk Royals Wash the morning after the 100-year flood. That decision came from understanding what the flood had done to the caliche shelf. The gold was already on the surface. The instrument that found it cost $40 and fit in a jacket pocket. The scarred creek beds are out there, right now. The caliche shelf in an Arizona wash that flooded last monsoon season is exposed and will stay exposed for a few more weeks before wind and rain rebury it. The freeze-thaw drainages in the Rockies ran their cycle last spring. The storm-sorted beach on the Oregon coast was sorted 3 days ago. Every find in this video, the gold at Royals Wash, the fluorite at Lone Star Mine, the Yogo sapphire in the Judith gravel, the jade at Cowhead Lake, happened because one person understood which natural event had just occurred and walked that ground inside the window. The real question is not whether the ground has opened. It has. The question is whether you know what you are looking at when it does.